Iran may have not defeated the United States in the missile war, but it may have forced Washington to use its critical weapons at a dangerous rate. New reports suggest that the American air defense system may have reached depletion in that fight, and the Iranians have refined new missiles that are able to change course while flying. Now, the next report brings you a closer look at the situation in West Asia.
The most important battle may not have been decided by missiles that hit their targets. It may have been decided by the missiles America had to fire. During the final stages of the US-Iran conflict 2 weeks ago, Iranian forces changed how they attacked American bases. Waves of drones and ballistic missiles were combined with more difficult flight profiles, forcing American air defense crews to react repeatedly. And then came a remarkable claim. Iran's Revolutionary Guards said some of its missiles can now change course during flight, using guidance systems to alter their trajectory and bypass air defense systems. Tehran says the capability was used during the recent conflict. Missiles change course mid-air using on-board guidance systems, aerodynamic control surfaces like fins and wings, and thrust vectoring to alter their flight path dynamically. This maneuverability helps them evade enemy air defenses, avoid the incoming interceptors, and hit their targets with overwhelming force. The tactic forced American forces in the Gulf to expend scarce interceptor missiles. Iran also refined its use of drones and missiles as a combined attack. Drones could force defenders to engage, missiles could follow. In June, Iran launched waves of drones and missiles against 3 US bases in Jordan. One later strike on July 17 hit a housing unit at a US base, reportedly killing 3 American service members. After heavy fighting over the last 5 months, the US forces have severely depleted their arsenal. Reuters reported that the US Army had used virtually all of its highly accurate long-range missiles during the 5-month conflict. Experts say that the Iranian forces are closely studying another war. In Ukraine, Russia has been using combinations of ballistic and cruise missiles to distract Ukrainian air defenses, and then rushed in drones. The effect has been deadly and devastating. The same tactic has been applied by Iran while taking on a much bigger adversary. IRGC now says that Iranian forces must be able to expand their operations and carry out missions far beyond Iran's borders.
Whenever the situation demands and the order is issued, we must be capable of extending operations into enemy territory and conducting missions far from our own land. These are the characteristics of an offensive doctrine that must be realized. The IRGC is now tasked with achieving this readiness and developing the capability to execute such operations at the appropriate time.
No one thought that Iran could resist in this way against America, with the Israeli regime accompanying it and the support of many other countries, including all Western countries and some other countries that we all know, and not bow its head and ultimately force the enemy to ask for negotiations.
The rhetoric from Iran is rising. That doesn't mean Iran defeated America's military. It means Tehran exposed a different vulnerability. A missile can cost less than the interceptor needed to stop it. Multiply that across hundreds of launches, and the defender faces a brutal choice: keep firing expensive interceptors or accept greater risk. The US president, who has claimed repeatedly that Iranian military has been completely destroyed, now says that it is the US which has complete control over the Strait of Hormuz.
We have total control over the Hormuz Strait right now. They don't have control. We have total control. We own it. And at some point, maybe they'll do something and then they get blown away. But right now, we're in a very good position. We have a country that has been the bully of the Middle East for 50 years. It's really 51 if you think about it, right? We've been saying 47 for 4 years. And they're no longer the bully of the Middle East.
Iran has been attacked by the most powerful weapons, by the world's most powerful military. The aim was to cripple the Iranian military. But Iran continues to strike back with fire and fury. Most of Iran's missiles and launchers were hidden in underground facilities heavily bombed by US and Israeli forces. Iran later restored many sites and resumed attacks, disrupting shipping in the Strait of Hormuz and threatening US troops in the region. Now, more than 2 weeks later, the missiles are silent. The bombing has halted, but the strategic pressure remains. Iran has demonstrated what it can do with massed missile and drone attacks. America has demonstrated how much ammunition such a campaign can consume. And if the fighting returns, the next battle may be decided not only by who can launch more missiles, it may be decided by who can afford to stop them.
While US interceptors are running down, Iran is adapting. It is using mixed missile and drone salvos, more agile weapons and attacks designed to stretch American air defenses. Iran is now adding another complication that the United States has to consider. The IRGC says that some of its missiles can now change course in flight to evade its air defenses. That claim has not been independently verified, and changing trajectory, remember, is not necessarily the same as changing a missile's target mid-flight. But even improved mobility can make interception that much more harder. And the clearest warning for the United States came on the 17th of July when an Iranian missile penetrated the American defenses at the Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan, killing 3 American soldiers and wounding more than 100 others. For 5 days, the Iranian forces had been launching waves at 3 US bases in Jordan, forcing the American forces to burn through the Patriot interceptors. And then one missile managed to get through. The Secretary of State Marco Rubio had confirmed the same. President Donald Trump has insisted that the United States has more ammunition than it needs, but reports suggest that the US Patriot supplies have been heavily depleted during the conflict, while the Pentagon has ordered for defense companies to accelerate the weapons production program. Iran is increasingly combining different threats like drones, ballistic missiles, and also potentially maneuverable weapons, and this has forced the defenders to track more targets and to decide where to spend their most expensive interceptors. Remember, Russia has used a similar saturation approach in Ukraine, combining different types of weapons to complicate the air defense calculations. It is to be noted that the United States still holds the advantage in air power, in intelligence and military technology, but it is not just defending one battlefield. The burden stretches across Jordan, Iraq, the Gulf and other regional positions, but also accounting for threats from Iran's partners and proxies, and this war is already exposing America's vulnerability.
And Donald Trump promised overwhelming force. Iran answered with missiles. Now, after weeks of confrontation, Washington appears to be looking for a diplomatic exit. Iran is warning the Gulf states to tell Trump to back off or face consequences at the same time. Reports say that the US has burned through much of its long-range precision missile inventory. There's more in this next report. Take a look.
Their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone.
Their anti-aircraft is all gone. It's all gone. Their radar is all gone. Their leaders are all gone. The reason they want to make a deal is they have been just beat to shit.
Then on Friday, Donald Trump again claimed victory over Iran. Well, wars are not decided by who fires the first missile. They are decided by who can keep fighting the longest. And that is the lesson emerging from the latest US-Iran confrontation. For weeks, the United States relied on precision strikes to pressure Iran. The expectation was simple: increase the military cost, force Iran to compromise. But Iran did not back down. Instead, it continued missile launches, maintained its military posture, and insisted it would not negotiate under pressure. At the heart of Iran's missile campaign is one weapon drawing growing attention. The Khyber Sheikh, it's a solid fuel ballistic missile. Unlike liquid fuel missiles, it can be launched much faster because it does not need lengthy fueling before launch. It is also road mobile, making it harder to detect and destroy before takeoff. But what has attracted the most attention is its reported ability to maneuver during the final phase of flight. Instead of following a completely predictable path, the warhead can adjust its trajectory and it descends towards its target. That makes interception more difficult and puts greater pressure on missile defense systems. At the same time, Iran has widened the pressure beyond the battlefield. According to reports, Tehran warned Gulf states that if they encourage further US military action, they too could face retaliation. The warning raises the stakes for the entire Gulf region, home to major energy infrastructure and some of the world's busiest oil export routes. Any disruption there would send shockwaves through global energy markets. So obviously, Gulf nations push Washington to stop its assault.
The Iranian strategy at this moment is to demonstrate to the United States that it cannot get away with limited tit-for-tats that would be costly for Iran and not very costly for the US, that they would externalize the pain and even escalate into new territory in terms of both the scale and scope of attacks. This is why we have seen Iran attacking Jordan, a country that it did not attack in the past. We have also seen Iranian allies in the region putting more pressure on energy routes like Bab el-Mandab, or even with a recent attack in Egypt on the Suez Canal.
This comes in the back of multiple reports that the United States has used virtually all of its available long-range precision missiles during the conflict. The US maintains that America remains fully capable of defending itself.
Fortunately, I built up so much during my term. I rebuilt the military and also loaded it up with a lot of stuff. And we have certain types of munitions that are very powerful. That we have unlimited, virtual unlimited supply. We have others where it's a little bit tighter, and we're getting them in on a daily basis.
The US-Iran conflict, which began in late February 2026 alongside Israeli operations, has stretched into its 6th month, far longer than the initial 4 to 6 week timeline some officials projected. The US has not just run out of missiles, but also weapon systems, which are needed to defend its multiple US bases and thousands of soldiers deployed there. According to leaked assessment and analysis by US media, Patriot, THAAD, ATACMS and precision strike missiles along with Tomahawk all are severely depleted. Well, obviously, no nation will publicly accept that its arsenal has run dry in the middle of a war, but the numbers are stark. Now, replenishing advanced missile stocks takes time. There is also geography. The United States is more than 11,000 kilometers away from the Gulf. Every interceptor, every cruise missile, every precision weapon has to cross oceans before reaching the battlefield. Sustaining a high-intensity campaign over such distances is far more demanding than fighting close to home. And that does not mean the United States lacks military power. It remains the world's strongest military. It still has enough bombs to keep bombing Iran for months. But modern wars are not only about firepower, They're also about logistics, industrial production, supply chains, and endurance. Iran understands that its strategy appears aimed at increasing the cost of prolonged conflict, rather than matching American military power weapon for weapon. Whether diplomacy succeeds or not remains uncertain, but one lesson is already becoming clear. In modern warfare, the side with the biggest arsenal is not always the side with the easiest path to victory. While US interceptors are running down, Iran is adapting. It is using mixed missile and drone salvos, more agile weapons, and attacks which are designed to stretch American air defenses. Iran is adding another complication that US has to consider, which is the IRGC, which says that some of its missiles can now change course in flight to evade air defenses. That claim has not been independently verified, and changing trajectory is not necessarily the same as changing a missile's target mid-flight. But even improved mobility can make interception harder. The clearest warning for the US came on July 17th, when an Iranian missile penetrated US defenses at Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan, killing 3 American soldiers and wounding more than 100. For 5 days, Iranian forces had been launching waves at 3 US bases in Jordan, forcing American forces to burn through Patriot interceptors. Then one missile got through. Secretary of State Marco Rubio had confirmed the same. President Donald Trump has insisted that the United States has more munitions than it needs. But reports suggest that US Patriot supplies have been heavily depleted during the conflict, while the Pentagon has ordered defense companies to accelerate weapon production. Iran is increasingly combing different threats It's combining these different threats, which include drones, ballistic missiles, and potentially maneuvering weapons. This has forced defenders to track more targets and decide where to spend their most expensive interceptors. Now remember, Russia has used a similar saturation approach in Ukraine, combining different types of weapons to complicate air defense calculations. It is to be noted that the US still holds advantages in air power, intelligence, and military technology. But it is not just defending one battlefield. The burden stretches across Jordan, Iraq, the Gulf, and other regional positions, while also accounting for threats from Iran's partners and proxies. And this war is already exposing America's vulnerability.
For months, Donald Trump promised that more bombs would actually force Iran to bend. Instead, the war has become a deadlier, longer, costlier, and more complicated effort. Reports say the United States has burned through much of its stockpile of long-range precision missiles. And just as the questions grow over America's military readiness, Trump says a major announcement on Iran could come within 48 hours. Has military pressure, after all, reached its limit, is the question. And is diplomacy now becoming the only realistic option? Our next report decoding that for you.
We just hit them very hard. And I say we hit them 20-1. Every time they hit us, we're going to hit them 20. We'll be hitting them very hard.
Wars are not won by speeches. They are won by strategy and by ammunition. For months, the United States has pounded Iranian targets with waves of precision strikes. Tomahawk cruise missiles, ATACMS, precision strike missiles. The objective was clear: increase military pressure, force Tehran back to the negotiating table. But now the battlefield is raising uncomfortable questions. According to Reuters, the United States has used virtually all of its stockpile of long-range precision missiles during the Iran war, including major reductions in ATACMS, precision strike missiles, and roughly half of the Navy's Tomahawk inventory. Officials insist the US military remains capable, but acknowledge mounting pressure on key munitions. That matters because these are not ordinary weapons. They are among America's most advanced precision strike systems. Replacing them takes months, sometimes years. Despite months of bombardment, Iran has continued to launch missiles and drones at US positions, and has repeatedly insisted it will not bow to military pressure or negotiate under coercion. The war has also come at a cost for Washington. 18 American troops have been killed and 624 wounded in Iranian attacks during the conflict, underscoring that the fighting has carried real consequences for the world's most powerful military. Now, Trump's tone appears to be shifting. After weeks of threatening tougher strikes, he says the world will know within 48 hours whether there will be a breakthrough on Iran.
Looks like it's going to be a long night. Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. That's what I heard. That's surprising. We're moving along very nicely. We'll find out. We'll know in 48 hours.
Trump's statement boosted stock markets. Oil prices dropped amidst hopes that the Hormuz Strait will open. It has also fueled speculation that Washington is looking for an off-ramp before military costs rise even further. The Pentagon says the United States still has more than enough firepower to defend itself and meet its global commitments. But defense analysts warn that rebuilding precision missile stockpiles after months of high-intensity combat will not happen overnight. The bigger lesson may be this: military power can destroy targets. It cannot always deliver political outcomes. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Shifting focus now to the other battlefield, Ukraine is facing a new kind of air assault. Russia is sending faster drones deeper into Ukrainian territory, while missiles and glide bombs attack at the same time. The danger is no longer about one weapon. It's about whether Ukraine can actually keep enough air defenses ready for the next phase, the next wave. Now, Moscow is also warning London of consequences for arming Ukraine with weapons which are striking Russia. Our next report decoding all of this and taking a look at the escalating war and the rhetoric.
The real battle may be happening above Ukraine, not because one new weapon has changed the war overnight, but because Russia is building an air attack that forces Ukraine to defend against several threats at once. Russia is increasingly using jet-powered drones alongside cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and glide bombs. One of the latest Russian jet drones reportedly flew around 900 kilometers from Crimea into western Ukraine. A faster, jet-powered drone reduces the reaction time of the defenders. And Russia is not sending them alone. Missiles arrive alongside the drones. Glide bombs are hitting Ukrainian positions together. They create a difficult situation for Ukrainian commanders. These are the images from the frontline city of Kherson in southern Ukraine, where a Russian drone reportedly struck a civilian bus. But Kyiv is not simply absorbing the attacks. Ukraine is striking back deep inside Russia. Ukrainian drones have hit military, industrial, energy, and logistics targets far from the battlefield. In the last 3 days, Ukraine has launched about 3,000 drones deep inside Russia. And now the United Kingdom has been pulled directly into the conflict. Moscow has warned London it could face consequences for supplying drones to Ukraine that have been used in attacks inside Russian territory. Britain has supplied Ukraine with major long-range capabilities, including Storm Shadow cruise missiles, while expanding its support for drones. So what could Russia actually do? A direct attack on Britain would carry enormous risks, but Moscow has other options: sabotage, pressure on British interests overseas, threats against shipping, and attempts to disrupt critical infrastructure. The UK has been one of Ukraine's strongest backers since Russia launched its full-scale invasion in February 2022, committing around $33 billion in support. London vows to continue its full support to Kyiv. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Shifting focus, US Ambassador to India is in Jammu and Kashmir for his maiden visit. He arrived in Srinagar, kickstarting a 2-day diplomatic tour of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. He arrived at the Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister's residence, in fact, in Srinagar, for a high-level meeting with the Chief Minister, and he's also scheduled to meet the Lieutenant Governor during his stay in the valley. He described the Union Territory as an important and beautiful part of India after meeting the Chief Minister in Srinagar.
Here. As everybody here knows, I'm the U.S. Ambassador to India, and this is an important part of India, and so I'm here visiting for the first time. It is an incredibly beautiful place, and so I'm thrilled to be here, thrilled to see this place. We just had a very good meeting, and we have some follow-ups that we hope to take back to Washington, back to Delhi. But a very warm, a very cordial, and we look forward to building this relationship forward.
And regarding his meeting with Omar Abdullah, he said that it was productive, adding that follow-up discussions would be held in New Delhi and Washington. The Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister, meanwhile, also described the meeting as very good, saying the discussions focused on India-US ties. He added the two sides also discussed legacy issues, with the Chief Minister expressing hope that relations between the two sides would grow further. On the US travel advisory for Jammu and Kashmir, the ambassador said he could not make any major announcement at this stage, but he said the centre and the Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister have taken significant steps to improve security and indicated that the advisory should be downgraded. The ambassador was also seen enjoying a shikara ride at Srinagar's iconic Dal Lake after his meeting with the Chief Minister. The optics was simply hard to miss. Observers, in fact, call this a strong visual message sent out by the US envoy on Jammu and Kashmir's tourism and security.
दिल्ली एम्बेसी से बात की है, उन्होंने बोला
The ambassador is also scheduled to meet His Holiness the Dalai Lama on the 21st of August in Ladakh during his ongoing visit there. Shifting focus now to South India. At a time when Tamil Nadu is reeling under debt, the state's chief minister has announced a major move which has drawn sharp reactions. He's basically announced a slew of perks for all MLAs in the state. They will now get cars at government expense. Speaking in the Legislative Assembly, the Chief Minister Vijay justified this move by saying that MLAs need to regularly travel to their constituencies to take care of people's needs. The lawmakers will also receive 75,000 rupees as monthly vehicle allowance to cover the driver's salary and the car-related expenses. An additional 25,000 rupees will be given to MLAs to hire an assistant. Not just that, annual insurance coverage has also been hiked from 5 lakh to 25 lakh rupees. The Chief Minister's announcement received a warm welcome by legislators, of course. In fact, the TVK MLA Sindhu broke into an MGR song in the Assembly to thank the Chief Minister, who was then seen smiling while other legislators thumped their tables in approval.
கொடுத்ததெல்லாம் கொடுத்தார் இவர் யாருக்காக கொடுத்தார்.
Now, these perks have been announced after the VCK MLA basically raised the issue of logistical support for legislators in the ongoing Assembly session, highlighting that many first-time legislators who come from financially modest backgrounds frequently rely on minivans or public buses, which limits their grassroots engagement. That's what was said. That's the background. However, the opposition DMK has slammed the move now, saying the new perks will place fresh burden on the state. Early this year, in fact, the government had tabled a white paper on the state's finances under the previous DMK government. The paper showed Tamil Nadu's debt burden doubled between 2020 and 2025, touching a whopping 10 lakh crore rupees. In fact, no state in India has more annual interest payments than Tamil Nadu. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Iran right now is on a mission. It wants to fix Donald Trump's delusion. From exchanging strikes to exchanging warnings, heated attacks and rhetoric, the war of words between Iran and America has now become a war of maps. And it's a war that could be on the brink of expanding. All that it would take is one trigger. Once again, the threat of the Iran war jumping continents and spilling over is back. NATO is all geared up, it says. According to the Financial Times, Iran is considering attacking US military targets in Europe if US President Donald Trump escalates the war in West Asia. In fact, NATO is not taking this lightly. It has taken note. It has reacted, saying that it was prepared to address any threat. Iranian forces reportedly had assessed potential strikes on US military targets in southeastern European countries, reportedly including Bulgaria, Cyprus, where a British air base was hit by a drone in March, remember, also reportedly being considered among the potential targets in the event of a renewed US offensive. But then will that happen is also the big question right now. Remember earlier, Iranian military officials have reportedly warned that any military base used to launch attacks against Iranian territory could be considered a target. So if that is indeed what's been brewing behind the scenes in Iran, what exactly is Trump's game plan? What's brewing there? So far, he has tried a mix of several tactics, approaches, so much so that it's difficult to actually predict what comes next, just like anything in a way related to Donald Trump. But what he is clear about right now, at least, is that the Strait of Hormuz is a part of America. We are not making this up. He's put out a map. Trump and Iran, in fact, have engaged in that tussle over their own versions of maps. While Trump used a series of Truth Social posts to assert US control over the strategic waterway and rule out any immediate talks with Iran, he first shared an image on Truth Social showing a map of the Strait of Hormuz under the banner New US Territory, appearing to reinforce his recent remarks that he wanted the waterway formally declared US territory. Iran did not mince any words, and it hit back. The Iranian deputy foreign minister dismissing Trump's depiction as a quote-unquote delusion, warning that Tehran would either see it corrected or correct the delusions itself. Iranian foreign minister meanwhile claimed that Tehran had prevailed both on the battlefield and at the negotiating table, saying America had originally sought Iran's surrender but had failed to achieve that objective. So a lot of rhetoric as well. That's not all. The Iranian consulate in Hyderabad posted a map of the United States with California highlighted under the words New Territory of Islamic Republic of Iran. Why California, you ask? One possible reason, California is reportedly home to the largest Iranian-American population in the United States. Basically, the largest population of Iranian immigrants in the United States calls California home, reportedly. But whatever happened to Trump's grand statements back then, declaring he did not even need the Strait of Hormuz? From that to now, declaring the strait new U.S. territory, he has come a long way, and that perhaps makes this the latest addition to that growing long list of U-turns taken by the US president. It's hard to even map out his moves and U-turns by now. But the thing is, these maps, this exchange of rhetoric, all of this does not change the things on the ground. What is the ground reality? No change there, really. Negotiations over reopening the Strait of Hormuz remain stalled. Prospects for renewed talks between Iran and America have dimmed. Trump even said on Tuesday, remember, that there were no talks or conversations going on or scheduled with Tehran. Amid these developments, a fresh threat of escalation came in. In fact, the region witnessed a situation that brought it closer to a Turkey-Israel war, according to Trump's Turkey and Syria envoy. His name is Tom Barrack. Reportedly, according to I-24 News, he reportedly said the Israeli strike on the Abu al-Duhur air base nearly triggered a direct military clash between the two. That's where the base is located. In fact, this is The latest that unfolded about 24 hours ago, and now, reportedly, according to him, the Turkish forces did not know that Israeli aircraft were on their way to this specific Syrian base that we are talking about. According to him, nor did they know what their objective was. Therefore, he said they might have decided to scramble their own fighter jets, believing they themselves were under attack. He added yesterday's events were serious and worrying. However, saying we are relieved that no lives were lost and that the situation did not escalate. That's what he reportedly said, according to that report. But then where do things go from here onwards amid all of these developments between Iran and the United States? From military pressure to wanting to put economic pressure to pausing talks, even disengaging, Trump has so far tried several strategies with the aim to make Iran kneel. But Iran continues to double down. A rescue park from South Korea has been crowned the world's ugliest dog. He was rescued from the mountains before being adopted in California and won the 50th edition of this quirky contest in California, taking home a $5,000 award. Take a look. Are you ticklish? If yes, to what extent? Are some parts of your body more prone to ticklishness? Let's tell you why we're asking you this. Charles Darwin, best known for his theory of evolution, may have also solved a mystery, the mystery that has puzzled people for centuries. Why some parts of our bodies are more ticklish as compared to others. A new study now suggests that Darwin's 150-year-old idea about tickling might have been correct all this while. Basically, Darwin suggested that areas of the body that are not frequently touched could be more likely to cause a tickling reaction. And he had proposed this idea way back in 1872 in his book, The Expression of the Emotions in Man and Animals. And now scientists from a university in the Netherlands have studied 450 people from China, the Netherlands and Greece. The participants were asked about their tickling experiences and to mark the parts of their bodies where they felt the most ticklish. The researchers tested multiple theories, including thinner skin, also higher nerve density, the protection of vulnerable areas and pleasure. They even tested the idea proposed by Darwin. And the study found that the neck, armpits, abdomen, and soles were among the most ticklish areas. With partners, the inner thighs, the groin also ranked high. Consequently, Darwin's theory had the strongest support. Researchers suggest that areas touched less often may become more ticklish over time, though the exact reason remains unclear. The researchers suggest a feedback loop of sorts. Areas that are rarely touched may become more ticklish, so people avoid touching them even more. Though the mystery is not completely solved as of now, the findings give stronger scientific support to Darwin's old idea. But researchers say the bigger question as to why humans evolved to be ticklish in the first place remains unanswered. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's now talk about how the mystery surrounding the origins of COVID-19 continues to turn murkier even now. It's taken a fresh turn now. A former senior advisor to Dr. Anthony Fauci has admitted to helping conceal U.S. federal records tied to coronavirus research, triggering questions about what officials actually knew, what records were kept, and how much the public was even told. Let's break it down and tell you more about Dr. Anthony Fauci. He, remember, served as the chief medical advisor to U.S. President Joe Biden from January 2021 until December 2022, concurrently leading the U.S. federal response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. David Morans pleaded guilty to conspiring to defraud the U.S. government. Prosecutors say he used a personal email account to get around federal records laws while working at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Morans now faces a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison. A U.S. federal judge in Maryland is scheduled to sentence him on the 12th of November. The case centers on records connected to the COVID-19 research grants. Prosecutors allege Morans concealed or destroyed communications, including discussions about efforts to restore a controversial grant involving bad coronavirus research. That grant had been cancelled reportedly by the U.S. National Institutes of Health. After concerns emerged over research involving a lab in Wuhan, China, a company receiving the U.S. federal grant had allegedly provided a sub-award to that China-based lab. Investigators also say Morans agreed to help revive the grant and push back allegedly against claims that the pandemic began with a lab leak. There's more. Morans had previously denied trying to evade U.S. federal transparency requirements through his personal email. Although Fauci has not been charged in this case, it has, however, intensified scrutiny on him as well. During a U.S. congressional hearing in the month of July, Fauci, remember, repeatedly invoked his Fifth Amendment rights. And just last week, he declined to appear voluntarily before another U.S. Senate panel after Republicans voted to hold him in contempt of Congress. But then the big question right now is, how exactly did COVID-19 start, and how is it that this question still remains unanswered after all this while? U.S. intelligence agencies remain divided. The FBI and the CIA have assessed a lab leak as likely, although the CIA expressed low confidence in its conclusion. Other U.S. intelligence agencies and the U.S. National Intelligence Council believe that coronavirus most likely emerged via natural transmission from some animal. China has rejected the lab leak theory. Earlier this month itself, former White House COVID-19 response coordinator Dr. Ashish Jha publicly said he believes a lab leak is the more likely explanation. Last year, the World Health Organization has said that all hypotheses on how the pandemic started remain open, adding that pending further data, the origin of COVID-19 and how it spreads remains elusive. The official global COVID-19 death toll reported to the WHO, by the way, is over 7.11 million people. Those many lives lost. So while Morans' guilty plea does not resolve the origin of COVID-19 mystery, it appears to have opened yet another chapter behind the pandemic's beginnings. China may be preparing for a new kind of confrontation with America in the South China Sea. One where machines, not soldiers, could form the first line of defense. Let's tell you what this is about. A Chinese military proposal basically envisions disputed islands surrounded by autonomous drones machines that could detect, disrupt, and even attack hostile forces. Basically, think of it like a security fence, but made up of robots, that too at sea. Instead of soldiers watching every direction, drones in the air, on the water, underwater, would work together to spot just about anything approaching. Chinese researchers have proposed connecting these drones with military installations on islands and reefs. The main reason behind this move, reportedly, is that modern warfare is increasingly showing that cheap drones can pose a serious threat to expensive military hardware. For example, Iran's low-cost Shahid drones. The Chinese proposal would also reportedly move away from the traditional military kill chain as such, where essentially one system detects a threat, passes the information to another, which then decides how to respond. Instead, China is looking at a closed-loop network. Think of it like a football team, where every player can see the entire field and almost instantly share what they see. So if one player is taken out, for example, the others can keep playing. Here, aerial drones could scan the horizon. Surface drones could watch the approaches very closely. Underwater vehicles, meanwhile, could patrol shallow waters and reef channels. AI could then help make sense of all of that information, identifying what might be a threat even if communications are disrupted. Imagine this. The proposed defense would work in 3 layers. Let's break it down. The outer layer would spot threats at a distance and potentially attack them with missiles or torpedoes. The middle layer, meanwhile, could use electronic warfare, in simple terms, trying to jam or confuse an enemy's communications and electronics. And the inner layer would act as the final shield, using uncrewed surface vehicles, suicide drones, uncrewed underwater vehicles against anything that gets through. The larger picture here is quite clear. China is exploring how warfare could become increasingly autonomous. So if this proposal ever becomes reality, some of the South China Sea's most contested outposts could look less like traditional military bases and more like robotic fortresses, constantly watching, sharing information, and responding with far fewer Chinese personnel in harm's way. So at a time when success continues to elude US President Donald Trump on the Iran front, trouble is reportedly brewing closer home. According to Trump's biographer, Melania Trump is locked in a secret power struggle with her husband's special and executive assistant, Natalie Harp, reportedly. First, take a look at these images. Whether it is at White House events or on the Air Force One jet, Harp has been a constant presence besides Trump in the last few months. What added to the speculation, the intrigue in a way, was that she was among the few people who reportedly joined Trump inside the military jet while leaving Turkey. And reacting to that, by the way, the White House press secretary even told the New York Times that Harp is one of the most loyal and hardest working aides on Trump's team. It was pointed out by some people that the US First Lady has been rarely photographed with Trump in recent times. For instance, Melania Trump skipped high-profile gatherings, including a memorial service in Washington for the late Senator Lindsey Graham, and the White House Correspondents' Dinner as well. She was last seen publicly along with Trump at the FIFA World Cup final just about a month ago. According to the Daily Beast, the US First Lady was seen in public 47 times in 2025. Is this just a matter of coincidence, though? If Trump's biographer is to be believed, his name is Michael Wolff, this is not the case. According to him, the US First Lady is staying away from many events as she has little interest in sharing the frame with Natalie Harp. Wolff even claimed that this was the reason for Melania Trump reportedly not moving into the White House last year. Let's just take a look at her story, what's known about her. The 35-year-old California resident reportedly completed her MBA in 2015. In 2020, she joined a news channel named One America News Network, reportedly, where she worked as a presenter for 2 years. Subsequently, she became a part of Trump's team. Since last year, she has been serving as his special as well as executive assistant, drawing an annual salary of $150,000 US. But then, how did she become a key member of Trump's team in the first place is the immediate question. She basically caught the president's attention in 2019, reportedly, when she spoke to Fox News about her recovery from bone cancer via experimental treatment. And for this, she credited Trump's Right to Try Act, which basically allowed terminally ill patients to access unapproved and experimental drugs. Listen into how Trump introduced her for the first time at an event of the Faith and Freedom Coalition. Listen to this.
She lit up the television screen like very few people I've ever seen do it. And she talked about how they were preparing her for death. And because of Right to Try, she's now living and I think doing phenomenally well.
And after this, Trump called Harp to the stage, clapped for her, warmly welcomed her. Have a look at this.
But then an outsider, my good Samaritan, President Donald J. Trump, he saw me there and he didn't walk by, he stopped. And for every single one of us, he gave up his own quality of life so we could live. And
subsequently, Natalie Harp was effusive in praise for Trump's role in her recovery, drawing a thunderous response and applause from the audience. To many, she is seen as the ultimate gatekeeper for Trump, someone who basically operates outside the usual chain of command. She was even nicknamed the human printer, as she would print out documents for him to review on the 2024 election campaign trail, reportedly. Not just that, she reportedly helps Trump draft social media posts, even exchanges text messages with world leaders on the US president's behalf, reportedly. There's more. As per reports, part of her job is to provide Trump with positive news stories and social media posts. And according to New York Times reporters Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan, she wrote Trump a series of adoring letters in which she described him as a guardian and protector. One of these letters reportedly read, I'm quoting, "You are all that matters to me." This week, she was drawn into a political controversy when the Democratic Senator John Ossoff stated that Trump wants to only build his ballroom and travel with Harp on the new Air Force One jet. Interestingly, when asked about his snide remark, Trump sidestepped the question and instead compared Ossoff to a comedy film character.
John Ossoff said you'd rather travel with your aide, Natalie Harp, and build the ballroom than do your job as president. What is your response, John Ossoff?
You mean Pee Wee Herman? Pee Wee Herman lookalike? No, I would much rather do other things. It's we're building a great facility here.
While all this remains a matter of speculation, Ossoff's remarks have heightened speculation about the alleged rift in America's power corridors. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.